So Joe Haden wants a new contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers, or at least an extension, so he knows he's going to be in Pittsburgh after this coming season. According to Adam Schefter a couple days ago, Drew Rosenhaus has now said that he's going to approach Pittsburgh, and Joe Haden wants to finish his career with the Steelers if possible. And that is Haden's agent, so they're looking to sign an extension here that will have him tied to Pittsburgh for the foreseeable future. Now, Pittsburgh has thrived, quite frankly, since Joe Haden arrived there. This past season, they tied the lead for the most interceptions in the NFL with 18. Haden contributed 2 of those. In his years in Pittsburgh, he's got 1 in 2017, which was a little bit of a trial and error year. He missed 5 games, so there's a lot that went into that. 2018, 2 interceptions, 12 passes to defense. 2019, that was a Pro Bowl year for him. I think probably the best year he's been in Pittsburgh so far. 5 interceptions, 17 passes to defense this past year. Missed 2 games, still had 2 interceptions, a pick 6, and 12 passes to defense. So the argument for re-signing Joe Haden at this point, if you're Pittsburgh, is what else do you have? You don't have a lot. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, losing Steven Nelson was a little bit of an unforeseen thing to happen this offseason, even though we've had a long time now to kind of absorb what happened, to kind of deal with it. But it was still something that going into the offseason was not entirely expected. So you lose someone like Steven Nelson. Mike Hilton does not resign. So Cameron Sutton now is going to move from the slot into the starting outside role. Who else in your team is going to step up? Justin Lane? You're trusting Justin Lane to step up at this point? I don't think so. So you got Joe Haden, you got Cameron Sutton. Who else do you even have that you would trust? You got James Pierre, was working out with you, Justin Lane. Shakur Brown was the unsigned free agent you have this year. It's just not looking great from the outside cornerback market. And even Shakur Brown's a guy who I might like more in the slot. So your outside corners right now in Pittsburgh, not looking nearly as good or as stable as they were going to last season, by a long shot. Joe Haden is 32 years old. For corners, this is usually at the point, or even maybe a little bit past the point, when you start to suffer decline. Haden's a guy who's dealt with injuries in the past. Missed a lot of games in Cleveland. Already, like I said, there's missed some games in Pittsburgh, including 2 last year. 4 in 2017, 1 in 2018. So our injury is going to be a future concern with Joe Haden, who's 32 years old, as I said, going on 33. The past extension he signed with Pittsburgh back in 2019, 2 years, $22.4 million. His cap hit this year is $15.5 million. So an average of $11.2 million per year, that's not bad. You know, I wouldn't be exuberant if we signed that kind of deal again. If we could get him on a 2-year extension for $20 million with an opt-out option for us after year 1 with some dead cap, I would absolutely take that. Because it would basically be a 1-year deal in my opinion. Because Joe Haden right now is a good corner. But he is getting up there. You have to recognize the age difference at this point. You have to recognize that age is going to play a factor in how this all plays out. Because if he can continue playing at the level he's playing at right now, even this past season, well, that's all right. You can pay $10 million, you can pay $11 million for a player on that caliber, and it'll be fine. My concern comes when you think about taking like a long-term paycheck here, like a 3-year deal, a 4-year deal, where you're getting paid $8 to $11 million per year. That's when I start to worry. Because as I said, Haden is already pretty old. We're getting up there in age for a corner, at least. And his interception totals peaked this past year for us in terms of his time at Pittsburgh. In 2019, he was a Pro Bowler that year. There were some arguments about, I could be an All-Pro that year. There was some talk about that kind of stuff. Well, let me just read you out the PFF grades. I understand no one loves the PFF grades. There are some people who just don't enjoy it. I put a lot of faith into them, but just because I know their grading system. In 2017, the first year of Pittsburgh, Haden had a 66 overall grade on defense. It was up to a 70.9 in 2018, a 70.3 in 2019, and down to a 66.6 this past year. Now, Steven Nelson's grade was also down, and Nelson is a younger corner who should not be dealing with any kind of regression at this point in his career. So could it just be that the unit was peaking and working at its best in 2019? There were some other factors along the defense, maybe at the linebacker level, how well they were playing, that ultimately affected the cornerback market. So they were playing so good in 2019 and playing just kind of average this past year. Yeah, there could be some other factors like that played into it. But again, are you willing to take that risk at Haden, who's 32 years old? Like I said, $8 to $11 million per year for a 2-year deal with a chance to get out after year one. That's what I'm okay with Haden signing at this point. Because realistically, once Ben retires after this year, you're going to need to find out a way to get a new quarterback. And if you're not going to draft one, because you're not going to be high enough in the draft to get a good one at least, or one that you feel is almost a guaranteed hit, if you're not going to be that high in the draft, you're going to have to sign one, which means you're going to need a lot of money, given how quarterbacks sign for agency right now. So unless you're planning on tanking and kind of tearing everything down and rebuilding it from scratch, which might involve firing a lot of people who are in the front office or in the coaching staff, and if you're going to do that, if you're going to go that route, that also means getting rid of a lot of veteran players. Someone like Joe Haden would fall into that group and get rid of that in contract, don't have to pay that extension. So if you're going to go with the tear it down way, Joe Haden doesn't really fit into those plans. If you're going to go with we're going to get another quarterback from the outside, we're going to sign a free agent, all right, do you have the money to do that? You got to pay TJ Watt. You got to pay Minka Fitzpatrick. You're going to pay Cam Hayward. You're no longer paying a lot of people on the offensive line. Which shows, by the way, because the offensive line is, well, there are issues there for another day we can talk about. But the question is, like, you're paying a bunch of guys already on defense. Are you going to pay Joe Haden and then try to pay a quarterback as well? I would rather pay for a tackle in free agency, if I'm being honest. But then again, I was always stressed about not having good enough corners for this defense. I was always stressed about that for years. That was one thing in Pittsburgh. I was like, can we just find an all-pro or Pro Bowl cornerback out there? We got one right now in Joe Haden. Even though this past year, like I said, it was probably not at a Pro Bowl level. It was probably below that. So it really comes down to what's Pittsburgh take away from this past year. Does Pittsburgh think that was just Devin Bush injury, a lot of injuries at the linebacker level, some things were thrown off, Haden took a little bit of a step back because there was less talent in the defense as a whole. Was it that? Or was this some serious regression here where Hayden's going to be grading PFF-wise in the 60s for the rest of his career? If that's the case, signing an extension worth $10 million plus a year is probably not the best move. But if you think he can stay healthy and still contribute, and he's going to be your best corner for the next couple of years, and the Hill rebound be in the 70s grading-wise, then yeah, it's probably worth an extension like that. But again, not a long one. Don't go with a long extension for a cornerback in his early 30s. It just doesn't work most of the time. And maybe it does for the superstars. So there are some star players who can contribute and be good shutdown corners until their mid-30s. Joe Haden's never been the superstar tier 1 corner, even in Cleveland. When he was a second team All-Pro one year, but he was never really the superstar tier 1 kind of guy. So he's not going to be the type of player who's going to be 35, 34 years old and still be a shutdown corner. So we need to take that into account when looking at how he wants to be extended here. We'll see how it plays out. I'm hopeful for a good solution, but we got to get through the season too. We have to look for the season first before we start thinking about contract extensions, even though one might happen, I guess, before the year, early in the year. I'm not sure when the deadlines are for that kind of stuff, but we'll see how it plays out. Pittsburgh fans, tell me what you think about the Joe Haden contract. Should we sign an extension with him? Should it be 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, more than that? How much money should he get per year? And are you a little bit concerned about his age and the age of some of these guys on this defense? So you can drop the answers to those questions in the comments, and you can head on over to Twitter at Sam_Teats33. That's my @. You can tweet me there if you're not happy with anything I said today. If you are, please consider following the channel. I talk a lot about Pittsburgh Steelers. I talk a lot about the NBA right now and the NBA offseason. I'm mainly focused on the NFL, college football, and the NBA. Those are my things. And I do kind of these short videos like this where I just hold my camera out in front of me, recording, stuff like that. So if you like the content you saw today, please subscribe, and I hope to see you all later.